Blessings, beloved. Welcome. I am Drazmin. Thank you for being here and for choosing to be here. Before we begin, I invite you to take a big, deep breath to clear your mind, releasing what happened a moment ago and what comes next. And another to center into this present moment. Welcome, beloved. Today, I will be bringing in some insight into the collective shadow that is surfacing at this time. Now, I am recording this reading on June 4th, yet this is a timeless reading. So whenever you receive this message is exactly when it is meant for you. Now, before I begin, I want to tell you all, I received this download and nod from one of my primary guides, Archangel Metatron, on Tuesday morning, the 31st, to do the reading. And I had full intentions of doing so later that evening when I usually do my recordings. But then I had a pretty bad fall. And I triggered loose some painful memories in my lower back. It's taken me a few days to recover. I'm mostly okay now. And ultimately, this was a blessing because what triggered loose that evening is intimately tied into today's reading. Without getting too much into the details of my personal experience, I slipped off a yoga ball and landed on my back. This triggered some extremely painful, repressed memories from childhood to be released. And then this domino affected into several past lives going all the way back through Atlantis to Draconis. What I'm guided to highlight today is Atlantis, because the collective shadow coming up for a vast majority of at this time is old karmic cycles directly and indirectly connected to that timeline. It is truly divinely timed. This recording is happening today because what triggered loose for me on Tuesday gave me even more clarity and fuel for today's reading. I know this reading is going to be powerful and potent because it has been a journey to hit this record button. It is a little after 10 o'clock in the evening now, and I sat down to record this around 5 p.m. So lots of things have come up. All is in divine alignment. Now, I personally have been working on healing the timeline of Atlantis as it mirrors in the current now for a little over 4 years, yet have stayed silent on the matter, well, because I was asked to be quiet and I chose to honor that. The nature of quantum repair work is so extremely delicate that in the initial stages, it needs to be protected for a period of time, especially personal stuff. And now that I have resolved a lot of my personally connected karma to that specific timeline, I'm guided to speak and support you in bringing clarity and healing to an experience or a number of experiences you may be going through at this time that are directly and or indirectly connected to Atlantis. Now, in Atlantis, and even further before that, the dragons and humans worked together to protect and nurture the quantum grid of the Earth system. Originally, only the dragons were responsible for this, yet as the population of the humans grew and their connection to original source began to thin out, something more was needed. The dragons work primarily in the language of energy and needed a translator of sorts. And the humans needed an in-between to these powerful, pure source beings. And so over the measure of time, relationships began to form between a select few who underwent several lifetimes of training in order to both connect with and understand the dragon energy. In Atlantis, these humans were the high priests, and they were chosen by the dragons before birth to serve the singular purpose. The mothers who birthed these beings were also chosen and well aware of who they were bringing into the earth plane. They were provided a special temple for their pregnancy and birth, so to protect the delicate energies during their gestation and early growing years. Once these children were young enough to walk, they began their temple training. And when they were ready, their dragon would appear, very much like a witch's familiar. Now, in order to be of service to the grid, a pair of priests with their pair of dragons, so a total of 4 beings, were a single team. And there were many teams who worked together on and for the Gaia grid. The fall of Atlantis happened because of a betrayal in the high temples by one of the priests. He then was jealous of his fellow high priest and the connection of that priest to his dragon. Now, when I first received the initial set of my personal memories back in 2019, I was honestly confused by the energy of jealousy, because this is not a normal dragon energy. It took me almost 3 years to trace the spiral and figure out what happened was the priest's energy field was hacked into by one of the reptilian life sources, which was done extremely cleverly. I honestly still don't have all of the details on how that happened. And so it was frankly quite shocking. Neither human nor dragon saw that coming. It is extremely important to note here that the energy of jealousy cannot be planted. No bad energy or even good energy can be implanted because energy is neutral. What happens is a dissonance is located in the energy field of a consciousness. And within this, a seed of doubt is planted that then grows to the fortune or misfortune sometimes of the being involved. Basically, what this means is if a being involved has a personal desire that is not of the highest frequency of love, it can get corrupted and turn bad. Very much like a human cell can grow cancerous given the right amount of stressors. So this human, the infected high priest, already had within his consciousness feelings, personal feelings towards his fellow priest. And when those feelings were not reciprocated, that seed of doubt turned against him. Long story short, he called his fellow high priest into the temple for a grid check because he had detected something he couldn't quite pinpoint. And when the fellow priest entered the temple, he slew his dragon familiar using his power of telekinesis to send a massive spear of sorts into the dragon's heart. When this happened, several things happened at once. Now remember that I mentioned there were 4 beings, 2 dragons and 2 humans who were a singular team, meaning there was no separation from dragon to man except in physical form. It's as if these 4 fingers were fused together, but you can still see that they are 4 fingers. I mean, they were able to walk and do and move around and do their own thing, but they were 4 operating as one. They were one. So when the dragon was killed, the other dragon felt it and fell because of the immense shock and the connection of the energy. Simultaneously, the entire grid weakened long enough for the reptilians to enter the temple and attempt to slay the second dragon. Now, the human experience is always surprising. Especially the whole emotion, the energy in motion that travels through the human consciousness. So what no one anticipated was the immense grief of the dragon, of the high priest whose dragon familiar had fallen, would be channeled through the dragon that lived, because it was like stabbing yourself, right? But you're still alive. And so the consciousness of the dragon split. And when it split, everything was happening so fast, it went into the consciousness of his human familiar, not the betrayer, the other one. Yet the human is not designed to hold the consciousness of a dragon. So that human soul was split into a million pieces of light particles, just gone instantly, like poof. 1 minute there were 2 dragons and 2 humans in the temple, and the next minute there's 1 dead dragon, 1 human frozen in shock as the spell was lifted, and 2 missing beings. The reptilians were pouring in like hordes through the tear in the Atlantean grid, and it happened so fast. Shortly after the civilization, all associated connections collapsed, disappeared, so to speak. The consequences of that single choice to act upon that energy of jealousy, of envy, you know, that lower frequency energy that is not of the highest frequency of love, whatever label once might be put on it, it created massive trauma and karma or debt within the human collective. And we are now currently seeing a sort of replay in the powers of the current world order. This reading is not to talk about the politics though, but to go into the shadow energy, the unconscious energy, the subconscious energy that is playing out now in the consciousness, and most relevant at this time, that connects directly to that moment back in Atlantis when everything collapsed. For this, I will be using the archetypes deck to fine tune into what that might be. I have pre-shuffled all my decks before I got on. So let's see what we get. And I will use tarot to unpack that even further. I am using the Witch's Tarot and the In-Between Tarot for clarifiers. I will also be pulling cards for each zodiac sign to see how this is playing out more intimately for you. Now, 2 important notes here for the zodiacal readings. 1, I read for the 13th zodiac wheel, as this is the most accurate parallel of human to stars. 2nd, I will be reading for the moon sign and not the sun sign, because the moon sign governs the subconscious and past lives, the hidden, which is what this reading is all about. So without further ado, let's see what the cards have to say. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. Thank you, angels, ancestors, spirit guides, elementals, and all friendly beings in between, honoring of the light and shadow who wish to be here at this time to support this reading. Thank you for the sacred circle of connection, and thank you for your love and presence in providing us with clear, concise messages for the highest excellence of all beings tuning in and receiving this channeling. And so it is. All right, so now the archetype that is most playing out at this time is okay. The card that came out is Fool in reverse. Now, when these cards come out in reverse, it means that the shadow archetype is highlighted over the light attribute, because these archetypes, just as all beings and all things, have a light and a shadow attribute. Well, with this card coming out, before I go into what the Fool is, wow, so much to unpack there. Holy shit. I knew that this reading was going to be powerful. And with this card coming out, I'm starting to see why it's taken me 4 days and 4 hours, 4 days and 4 hours to get to this reading. So in reverse, it's saying that there's a extra emphasis on the shadow right now. Like the message that's coming through is pay close attention, pay extra attention to this. So this card says, the shadow attribute says, using humor to wound rather than liberate, denial of your emotional truth. Oof. Oof. Wow. Read that again. Okay, heard. Fool, shadow attributes, using humor to wound rather than liberate, denial of your emotional truth. I'm being guided to read more from this little book. Fool, the shadow clown of the Fool manifests as cruel personal mockery or self-betrayal. In the light attribute of the Fool, it embodies an ability to communicate profound and loving messages through humor. It shows up as a way for people to express themselves and helps others laugh at the absurdity of life. However, in the shadow, the Fool is about wearing a mask that covers one's real emotions. It's about communicating in a way that does not impact with kindness, wisdom, or simplicity. The question here to ask is, are you using humor in association with power or pleasure? Especially consider the way you use clowning and humor in relation to your personal protection and survival. Wow, okay. I'm going to take a moment with that and drink some water. I'm going to pull some tarot while I sit and tune into the messages that are coming through. Shuffling helps the channel. Yep, look, already cards coming out. Okay. So we have 5 cards. We have the 6, the Lovers, a major arcana. We have another 6 of Pentacles. Pentacles is material, the body, the physical, the tangible. Queen of Pentacles, another Pentacles card. Queen is the feminine energy. The number 9, a major arcana card, the Hermit in this deck, the Holly King. And Page of Pentacles, another Pentacles card, and the Page. Three Pentacles cards and 2 major arcana cards, a 6 and a 9. And we see the 6 repeating in the Pentacles. So what I'm getting is the 6 with the Lovers card is talking about how humor is used in relationships, how humor is used when we relate not only to ourselves, but with other people, using humor as a way to deflect, using humor as a way to avoid the uncomfortable, or even avoid acknowledging you're not having a good day, or you're having a hard time with whatever's going on. And what's going on is you're having a hard time with the physical body. You're having a hard time with your home. You're having a hard time with your environment. And instead of being honest about it and talking about it, sharing information, sharing resources, you know, whatever you have an excess of that you're able to share, there is a secrecy that's happened. I'm drawn to the 6 of Pentacles. There's a man here who's holding dice behind his back and reaching out a hand to receive, and the other being is giving this woman a bouquet of flowers and has his hand out to receive. And she is giving to the man who's giving her flowers and has the hand out to receive. So what I'm seeing here is there is an unfairness of exchange that's happening, because then we have the Queen of Pentacles in the center of this. The Queen of Pentacles is an energy of abundance, of wealth, of comfort, of prosperity, of balance, of harvest. In the middle of this reading, however, it's like this energy is trapped. It's trapped by this imbalance of exchange in relationship. It is trapped. At the end of this reading, we have the Page of Pentacles. Page is a card of youthfulness and immaturity. So this abundance and prosperity of wealth is in between this energy of relationships, of unfair relationship exchange, right? And this doesn't just mean husband and wife. This means friend and friend, neighbor and neighbor, neighbor and friend, neighbor and stranger. It doesn't matter, right? It's about what resources do you have that you are not sharing and distributing out, and you're just holding on to it, but you're still taking. When there are other people, you know, like this man who's holding a lot of, when there's so much prosperity, you know, there's so much wealth, there's enough to go around for everyone. And yet it is, and the feminine energy is about that infinite potential of fertility, because everything grows through the womb, whether that's the womb of a human, the womb of the earth, the womb of an animal. Everything comes through the womb. It multiplies through the womb, right? The masculine energy brings that in, yet the feminine energy multiplies it. And the masculine energy shows up at the end of this reading as a young boy, right? So there's this power struggle, is what I'm hearing right now. There's a power struggle that's happening right now, where this masculine energy has been playing the fool, right? And this doesn't mean man, all right? This means the masculine energy has not been taking responsibility for his part, right? Because at the beginning, we see a man and a woman as equals, but at the end of this reading, we just see a man playing around with his dog, right? And experimenting in the lab, right? But in the beginning, they're two adults empowered and is seeing each other as equals. But instead of seeing each other as equals, instead of fairness and exchange, right, there's a holding together, there's a withholding of the feminine energy, there's a withholding of that love, right? The feminine energy is about love, about nurturing, right? And that means also nurturing the emotions, right? Because we have the Fool here talking about using humor to withhold emotions. The emotional current is a feminine energy because it's constantly in flow like water. It's a fluid feminine energy. And when that energy is trapped and contained, when water doesn't flow, if the rains don't come, if the water doesn't flow, the land's going to dry up. We're not going to have plants. We're not going to have life. And so the card I haven't talked about yet is in between this Queen of Pentacles energy and this Page of Pentacles energy, right? Queen and Page, not Queen and King, Queen and Page. So mature feminine energy, immature masculine energy. There's a power struggle going on within self. It's playing out in our relationships with each other. And instead of talking about it, that's where this card comes in. Instead of the masculine, this is a masculine energy, there's a long white beard. Instead of talking about it to this feminine energy, instead of talking it out within self, instead of acknowledging that there is an unfairness, that there's something not right, instead of just acknowledging what's going on, there is a hermit, there is a reclusion that's happening, there's a withdrawal that's happening, there's an avoidance of responsibility, which is what the shadow attribute of the Fool is. It is an avoidance of emotional responsibility. It is an avoidance of a personal authority. It is an avoidance of accountability. It is an avoidance of using one's gifts and talents. It's like a wasteful energy. It's like you're just wasting your life away. You're just wasting your potential because you're just kind of doing this mindless, you're just kind of like mindlessly going around and taking without giving in fairness, or you're just over giving without allowing yourself to receive as much or claim your worth, right? Because that is the first step, knowing what our worth is, claiming that, and then receiving that opening room instead of getting real about what's real, which is the emotional shit show that everyone's going through right now because of everything that's happened this past 2 years. Everyone's been affected by it. The masculine is playing mature and then hiding out, and there's an old man here, so that's why I'm saying there seems to be this wasted potential that's playing out right now. It's like I'm recollecting right now. I had an experience a few weeks ago that I'm now understanding as I'm sharing this reading, a download I received around this exact thing. I was at the gas station a few weeks ago, and I live currently in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon in the United States. And in this state, they have attendants at the gas station who come and pump your gas for you. You're legally not allowed to do that for yourself. You'll get honestly yelled at. It's happened to me. And so I was sitting in the car, just observing, just sitting and observing and thanking the gentleman who was pumping the gas. And my friend who was driving, he went to use the bathroom. And so I was using the card and I was sitting on the passenger side, and he came to the driver's side, and I looked at him and I gave him the card and I smiled at him. He went, ran the card, came back to give it to me. And as he gave me the card, I looked at him and I said, "Thank you. I appreciate you." And he looked at me with this shock looked on his face as if I just said the most, I don't know, he just looked so utterly shocked. And I just smiled at him, and then he walked away and continued to do his job. And then I looked to my right, across the way, there was another man who was sitting there on a chair. It was a super, super hot day. I remember that because it was so hot. I was sweating, and I don't sweat very often. And this man was just sitting there, kind of not even sitting properly, slouched on his chair with this massive soda thing, styrofoam cup filled with something. I don't know. It could have been water. I hope it was water. Styrofoam cup on the ground. And I just looked at him, and I had this profound wave of deep compassion, of deep love come through me for these two men. And I just couldn't help but hear and feel this understanding of what I literally heard in that moment. Wow, these beautiful men are just wasting their lives because they don't have any purpose. They're just sitting at this gas station day after day doing this mindless thing, and all they really want is to be appreciated. They want to have a purpose for existing. And we're seeing the rapid decline of the mental state of the consciousness at large. And why do we see that? Because there's an increase in following the masses, right? Doing what everyone else is doing because that's more convenient, or it's easier, it's more socially acceptable, because that's what's continuing to play out. You know, that's what's continuing, that's what's been playing out. And now it's just like so acutely obvious of, wow, you know, you're not connected with life. And that's what I heard in that moment. And when my friend came back, he looked at me, he's like, hey, are you okay? It's like, I just feel so much compassion in my heart for these men who are just sitting here, and there's so much life to be lived. And these men are just examples of a lot of the men in the collective consciousness right now, a lot of the masculines who are just in these soul-sucking jobs where they're just like withering. They're like old men inside. They're just like tired of life and just want to go off into a cave, but they're acting like children, right? They're not in their power. They're not standing next to the divine feminine, whether that's another man or another woman, it doesn't matter, you know, same sex, different sex, it doesn't matter. There is real power in connection, in relationship to another being. It doesn't have to be a sexual connection. Yet in order to have that connection, there needs to be an emotional connection within self. This is really, really interesting. I am blown away by what's coming through, because I was in a meeting this morning with two beautiful women. It was my first time meeting them on Zoom. And we met because one of the women put out an invitation on Facebook for a specific group of beings to come together and have conversation. That's all I feel comfortable sharing at this time. Yeah, okay, I hear you. Yet one thing that did come up in this conversation, which is the whole point of sharing that little tidbit, is I talked about, and this came up, I think either last night or this morning, and then again in that meeting, and now it's coming up again. So this is really a confirmatory reading of my own personal work with this energy, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So one of the topics that was brought up in this conversation with these women was how there's this big gap right now between those who are heart-centered, those who are spiritual, and those who are spiritual and heart-centered. There's like 3 groups right now. And we were talking about how we were connecting as spiritual, heart-centered beings and having a hard time with this divide and challenge finding other spiritually heart-centered beings, because there is a large group of spiritual beings out there, teachers, guides, healers, shamans, medicine men and women, priests and priestesses, that are not connected to their heart center. I personally know a couple of them, and I've been communicating with them a lot and a lot less, because it's just, there's a huge dissonance. How can you consider yourself connected to God, life source, when you're not connected in your heart? Because ultimately that's great to be up in the sky in the God realms, bringing in all the messages and channeling. Yet if it's not grounded in the physical body, there's no connection with the external reality. So there's just like this mindless lack of presence, unconscious playing that's happening of just like, oh, I've done this before, so I'm just going to keep doing it, but I'm just not going to pay attention to the world that's falling apart and how I can connect and relate. So coming into this conversation as a being who I consider myself spiritual and heart-centric, we were sharing our pain of not having community or being ostracized from the spiritual community, because we are outspoken about, hey, that's great that you're talking about, you know, spiritual channelings and 5D and 8D and all the Ds above the 4D. But what about the 3D and the fact that we're still in it? We're still in the dense body. The real work happens in the dense body. And instead of getting real about this conversation, there's a deflection, there's a denial, there's a use of humor in a very inappropriate and abusive way. There is an abuse of power, and the feminine energy is in the center of this. Within, you know, this is how the cards are here. This feminine energy of abundance, of wealth, of opulence, of fertility, of eternal flow is in between this energy of imbalanced giving and exhaustion of the masculine who is so far disconnected. You know, there's this other energy over here, because there's a childishness that's going on, a childishness that is not funny anymore. So let's see what the clarifiers have to say. I'm just so curious. Okay. Holy fuck, you guys. Look, the Fool came out in reverse as the very first clarifier. And this Fool is in between the Fool and the Magician, which is the energy of the page. I love using this in-between tarot for shadow readings, because this deck, it talks about what's happening in between the cards of the tarot. And it's just really awesome. It adds this entire new dimension to it. And the very first clarifier we have is the Fool. In between the Fool and the Magician, it's like not wanting to anchor that, because the energy of the Magician is about harnessing all 4 elements. You know, in the traditional tarot, the Fool energy or the Magician is standing at a table with all 4 elements ready to execute his will into living form. And then, you know, we go into the number 2, which is the divine feminine comes in to give wisdom, to channel that energy, to have the womb space to birth that will and all of those harnessed elements into form. And then the journey continues until you hit the world, the end, the number 21, and then you go into the Fool again, because it's an eternal cycle. The Fool coming out in between as the very first card is just further confirming how important it is that a deep sit, an inner reflection needs to happen of self at this time. And that question that came up in the book of consider your use of humor in association with power. Are you using that for good, or are you using that for not good? And ultimately, you are only harming yourself by not being real with yourself. It destroys your confidence in yourself. It destroys your trust within your body, right? If you're not listening to your body, it's going to turn against you. And I talked about earlier at the beginning of this whole reading in the intro of how that's how the energy gets infected, right? And like a cell can grow cancerous. So it's like humor has now become a weapon. And what I'm sharing now is you really want me to say this? Okay. The whole comedy on Netflix, there's all the comedians, right? There's the comedian, being a comedian is so popular, right? And I stopped watching comedies about 6 years ago. I literally had to stop because I was noticing, that's when I started noticing how humor was being used as a way to belittle, to bully, to dismiss, to invalidate, right? What's really going on, to make light of something that is actually quite serious. Okay, 2 cards fell out. Wow, okay, the moon, in between the moon and the sun. Okay, what fell on the ground? And the 2 of Cups. Okay, so the 2 of Cups is about emotions. This 2 of Cups is between the 2 and the 3, right? So when the masculine and the feminine energy come together, that's when the third energy can be formed. And that's not necessarily a child. It could just be better health, better eating habits, reaching out and actually opening up to your friend, quitting that horrible job that you hate and starting your own passion project. It could be a number of things that you give birth to by listening to your own feminine wisdom through your emotions and then acting upon it. The Fool to the Magician, taking that leap of faith towards whatever your heart is desiring, making that conscious choice to commit to that. The moon, in between the moon and the sun, is getting out of the darkness, getting out of the mind, getting out of just laying on the water, right? It's like the sun's about to rise and it's like, nope, I'm not getting back in the boat. I'm just going to lay here till the cows come home, right? I'm just going to sit here and play around all day. And then the Queen of Cups, all right? The Queen of Cups in between the Queen of Cups, in between the Queen and the King of Cups, yet a masculine is in the forefront. Very interesting, right? And I'm being told to stop right there. Look how it ends. From a young little boy playing in the lab to this man right here, standing strong and confident, heart overflowing with love, tapped into his purpose, tapped into his potential. And again, take this as energy, not gender. I could be talking to a woman who is in their masculine energy and choosing to act in that masculine energy at this time, right? Because there's same-sex couples, right? So there is an energy within that couple that is the stronger masculine energy and an energy that's the stronger feminine energy. And that's how this reading ends with the clarifiers. There is a illumination happening of where responsibility is not being taken of self and how this is affecting your entire life. Okay, bottom of this deck, we have 10 of coins. In between the 10 of coins, the 10 of pentacles, more pentacles, and the 1, from 10 back to 1, 1 through 10, 1 through 10, everything is ones and zeros. And this deck, I don't know if y'all can see the card, all right, but it says at the very top, equality now, right? And that's what's coming up. That is why there's so much tension in the world today. This is why everyone is having a quote unquote mental or emotional breakdown. There's no breakdown that's happening. It's all a falling into place. This cry from the subconscious for equality, from coming from the feminine energy, coming from the masculine energy, it is bringing in the light. I'm noticing now there's two clarifiers, the two masculines, before we come into this empowered energy. These two masculines have their back to the sun. Do you see this? This masculine has their back to the sun. This being that looks, yeah, this masculine, this is also a masculine, has their back to the sun. The sun is the light. So there is, with this in reverse, there is a willful denial of personal responsibility. There's a, oh, I'll do it later. There's a, oh, I have to do this, so I am not going to do that. Or this is easier. This is more fun. This is lighter. You know, it's easier to just lay around here all day. It's easier to just stay in the sky all day and not bring it down to planet Earth. And here on the Earth, look, this card and this card has a woman and a child in the back. So there's like that potential that's I was sharing, that was coming through at the beginning of this whole reading, that potential is crying out right now to be used. And it's because of everything that's happening within the grid system and the accelerated ascension of the planet that's happening, because there's a lot more awakening, right? The night is not going to last forever. You might have 6 months of quote unquote night in the poles, yet eventually it is going to end. The sun always rises, and the sun is rising after, no, not thousands of years of darkness. The sun is rising now. The sun is rising because that is just the natural evolution of consciousness. And with the sun rising, it's like, wait a minute, equality now. 10 of Pentacles is ending the cycle of imbalanced exchange, right? In this card, there is a darker being, an African-American man or an African man in front of a white man who has his hand on his shoulder. There's an equality that's happening. And at the beginning of this whole reading, I talked about how there's an inequality that's going on right now. So what's being asked is equality now. It's at the bottom of the deck, right? It didn't come out in the reading. It's at the bottom of the deck. Equality now. There's that underneath all of these tantrums that are going on, all of this fake crap posts and content and all of this other stuff that's being shared. It's all a cry for attention. It's all a cry for attention. Yet that attention is not going to come from outside. We are the descendants of generations and generations of consequence. And we are not responsible for what happened then unless we were living in that timeline as a being that did create karma. I definitely have lived certain timelines that created karma in other people's lives, and thus the collective. And I've done a lot of healing work with these beings. And that's also part of this whole work. That's the part of being heart-centric, is taking accountability for our crap. That is part of maturity. That is part of stepping into personal authority. The masculine energy is about taking accountability for self, taking responsibility for personal power, taking responsibility for emotional awareness, right? And not just being an old man acting like a toddler. It's not going to stay. The light is coming up, right? We see the sun in the sky, and then the sunrise, right? So it's like time has passed, all right? And at least a whole day has passed and a night, and now it's sunrise, and there's still an avoidance of the light. So that is the collective energy that's coming up of the shadow archetype of the Fool. How is humor being used to deflect from emotional responsibility, from personal accountability, from following your passion projects, from taking care of your land, of your community, of your home, of yourself, right? Everything begins within. Everything begins within. And if there's too much focus on the outside, the inside is starving. If there's too much focus on the inside, the outside is starving. So there's a resetting of balance that is happening and is going to continue happening for a while, because change takes time. It is happening at an accelerated rate, yet it is happening. 11:11 just now as I looked at the clock. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to close the collective reading with that beautiful pin of 11:11. And let me take a sip of water here. Oh. Okay, so now let's see how this energy is playing out for each individual moon sign. Remember, I am reading for the 13 moon signs, and note that this is a general reading tapping into a collective zodiacal moon sign energy. So if you are interested in a more personal shadow reading, please connect with me via email, which is listed in the description box below. Okay. Oh, that was something else. I'm just gonna light a little bit of sage here just to clear my energy field, because this whole reading was a real awesome clarifying summary of a lot that I've been intuiting and feeling and processing for at least 2 years now. And I haven't really done readings for the collective shadow. I've only done them for myself and my personal work, and then clients I've had. So this is a new experience for me. All right, so let's get into these individual moon sign readings. We're going to start with Pisces. Wow. Okay. Calm. Wow. Okay. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up for a moment. All right. So Pisces. Pisces. Let's see. Pisces, the moon. Knight of Swords. And the Magician. Wow, okay. So for Pisces, okay, no clarifiers. Okay, so Pisces. The moon, the Knight of Swords, and the Magician. So the moon is the number 18 and the number 1. The number 18 adds up to a number 9. And the 9 came up in the collective reading. So this tells me that this energy is really highlighted for you at this time. There might be a lot of dreams that are coming up. There might be a lot of deja vu that's coming up. There might be a lot of just like deep emotions happening, memories, repressed memories from childhood coming up. There's a lot of clarity. Knight of Swords is a lot of like sudden, this this horse is racing, so it's like very rapid downloads and information and understanding and clarity and awakening is coming through. And we also get the one. So with all of this, it's a full moon. So I'm getting for you that the next full moon, whenever you get this reading, the next full moon is going to be extra potent for you. And there's fish in this water, and Pisces symbol is the fish. So this next full moon for you, this reading, so whatever the next full moon for you is really going to bring a lot of clarity and a lot of information for you about what is going on within your subconscious that is not allowing you to bring the life, to start the new beginning. Number one. The number one is about new beginnings. The number one is the magician energy. In this deck, it is the witch, right? The witch is a feminine energy. So it's going to show you where your own past traumas, your unresolved emotions, your unhealed wounds, your, unacknowledged whatever is going on. If you haven't had that conversation, write a letter. If you can't have that conversation, write a letter first anyway, just to get it out of you, and then give it a day or two before you go have a conversation with someone. But that is all coming up. The moon is the subconscious. I believe the moon also came out in the collective reading. So this is a very important message for you, Pisces moon energies, that spirit guides, Archangel Metatron is wanting to bring to you at this time. I'm also seeing in this book, I think this, or this card, I think this is a possum. I think it is a possum. Is it a possum or an opossum? Well, I don't have possum in this book. So if that, you're invited to look up the energy of the possum, because that is speaking to me at this time. So that could be an animal spirit that is wanting to connect with you at this time. Get that later. So that could be an animal spirit that's wanting to connect with you at this time to assist you with just having a buddy. It's nice to have an ally when we're going through really difficult challenges, especially emotional understandings and currents that are coming up. So I'm seeing that, I'm getting that connecting, allowing the energy of the opossum, because this opossum is in the corner looking at this guy racing on this horse who's just going so fast, completely oblivious to this. So pay attention, it doesn't have to be an opossum. If there's a repeating animal or bird that keeps showing up for you at this time, that is a guide that wants to be with you through this time and help you walk through this emotional current where you see yourself clearly within your heart space, so that then you can release that, right? This feminine energy is about to cook something. You're going to just be like, all right, this has been playing out. I've been making these unhealthy choices in this experience or this relationship or both. And I'm going to choose now, with my mental clarity and the support of my friend, to take a deep breath and cut it out for good, create something new for myself, make myself a new suit, make a new choice for myself. All right, Pisces, that's what I got for you. All right, so Aquarius moon sign. Wait. One oracle message from the Pisces from this deck, the CPR deck. Okay, D, drum. So this is a deck that I created to help with emotional intelligence. And the card that came out for you, Pisces moon, is D, the letter D for drum. Use your fingers on your body, making circles, tap it out. So anytime you're feeling a lot of emotions coming up, whatever it is, right? It's just an energy that's moving around, emotion, energy in motion. Use your hands, use a finger, use all of them, and just start making circles on your chest, just or anywhere in your body. You know, if you're feeling a lot of pain coming up, that's a memory that's being released in that part of your body. So just use circles to tap it out, right? On your thigh, on your butt, on your back, on your head, wherever it is, you can just use your fingers, one finger or all of them, and just make circles and breathe. And that will help give the energy a pattern to flow out of your body. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Whew. Now we can go into Aquarius. Aquarius moon signs, please. All right. There's that. Ooh. Two more, please. There's the other. Wow, a lot of major cards coming out today in this reading. Okay, okay. All right, two fell out, so we're just gonna take them. Two knights, interesting. Okay, so we have the number 14, balance. In this card, it is called the 𝐒𝐇𝐀𝐑𝐄. I believe that means the shadow. Let me look it up real quick. Okay. It's not the shadow, it's the underground. That's what it is. Okay. So the 𝐒𝐇𝐀 means the underground. It's the underground where the fairies and other fairy beings lived, but that's not the point. The fairies are not being highlighted. I mean, it could be highlighted, right? There could be some fairy connection for you, Aquarius, that might be important. So if that resonates, take it. But what I'm feeling really guided to point out is the 𝐒𝐇𝐀 means the underground place. So balance, the underground place. Number 10, the wheel of fortune. 10 is the beginning of a new cycle, turning the wheel in your favor, you know, tapping into the power of the 1, which is the magician, and 0, which is potential. And then 2 knights came out, 2 masculine energies. Yet in this deck, this knight is the masculine drawing, and this knight is a feminine. So 2 knights came out, yet the depiction is a masculine and a feminine energy. With 𝐒𝐇𝐀𝐑𝐄, number 14, balance, which means the underground, and number 10. So Aquarius moon signs, it is extremely important right now to be aware of your masculine and feminine energies and how they're playing out, and where you are putting your attention and energy into, because there may be something else. And I'm being guided now to these, not as fairies, but there may be something that's trying to get your attention. It doesn't have to be fairies, but there is something that's striving to get your attention because you're too much in this masculine energy, even though you might perceive that there is a feminine energy that's guiding you. You're being asked to stop and look at where you're about to turn, what choices you're about to make right now. And if that is really coming from a place of connection with your heart, or if you're just telling yourself something, or if you're allowing the voices and the opinions of others to influence your choices at this time, especially in relation to love and your physical, in relation to the cups, your emotions, right? Take a look at your emotions and your physical body, your resources, your environment, the people that you're connecting with, the job that you're in. Ask yourself, am I doing this because this brings me joy and satisfaction? Follow excellence, success will follow. But if you follow success, you will degrade because you're not living in your excellence. You're living in the excellence of someone else. So there is this new, completely new cycle that you're about to step into, because it's in between these two or these four. And the number four right now is significant because one, the number four is the energy of grounding, right? Three is formation. When two come together, they form three, the first shape, the triangle, yet four is the square, four is structure. So this is really, really highlighted for you right now, that this shadow energy of that's playing out is connected directly to your environment, to your structure. The number four cards, this card is the number 14, which is the addition of 10 and a 4, right? So the number 10, 4, 14, or even 5 could be significant for you at this time. The number 5 in the tarot is the Hierophant, which is the masculine energy and his power connected to source and his physical body, right? So you're being asked to really get in touch with your heart right now, and whatever you're taking action on in the physical, tangible reality is really coming from a place of your inner truth or someone else's inner truth that you have internalized and perceive is your inner truth at this time, to clear a repeating cycle that you might take action on. So let's see what CPR, emotional intelligence, self-love message is coming up. For you, yawn. Okay, so yawning, here's the card, and it says, who cares if it looks silly? Trust and just do it. Now, when I created this deck and I added the letter Y, I have been using yawn as a technique with my clients for myself, and then with clients for years. And it works every time. It's amazing. I've read so many books and articles on yawning. Nobody knows why it does, why we yawn or why it's contagious, but try it. You know, if you're just like, if this is resonating for you and you're like, you know, you don't have to overthink it. If there's any kind of just open your mouth and just start yawning, you know, walk and yawn. And who cares if it looks silly? Just trust and give it a chance and see what comes up for you. See what you just release when you slacken your jaw, right? I feel really tight in my jaw as I'm speaking this. So perhaps you've just been clenching it out. You're just so tense and so stressed out. You feel like you need to make a decision. You need to make a choice. You need to take action on something, right? Or there might be an opportunity that you might not get. So there's this tension and this clenching. So you're being asked to just drop and open and yawn and just step back for a moment and see, you know, whether the balance that you're in is the balance that you want to continue, right? Because we are in the human experience, so we're constantly in cycles. We're constantly in cycles. So when we start a cycle, it's going to play out until it finishes. And right now, a big cycle has ended for you and you're about to start a new one, but it's like you're rushing into it. The night energy came out in the collective reading. The night energy can be an energy of immaturity, of not really thinking things through. Now, the cups and the pentacles aren't energies of rushing, but because there are two of them, that's coming through to be shared. And because this yawn card, it's like, I feel it. I feel like my mouth hurts. Maybe it's because I've been talking, but it hurts, especially for this particular reading for the Aquarius moon. So I will close it at that. Thank you, Aquarius moon. Let's move on to Capricorn moon. Whew. All right. Capricorn moon. Wow. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. 2 fell out. Okay, so the first card that came out is Six of Pentacles in reverse, and this came out in the collective reading, not reverse though. And then what came out is 16, the Tower, and 8 of Pentacles. So Capricorn moon signs, I'm just going to be blunt with you. With the 6 of Pentacles in reverse, the Tower, and the 8 of Pentacles here, shit's about to hit the fan if it hasn't already. You already have or about to experience a real wake-up call of where you have been putting in your time and energy and how it has not created a foundation for you that is secure or nurtures your highest good. There's been an imbalance exchange of energy. There has been a misuse of time and resources. And you've just been like kind of doing the same thing again and again and again without really paying attention to why you're doing it or what that's bringing. Pentacles and Pentacles. So this is in direct relation to your body, to your money, to your home, to your environment, anything in the tangible, right? 6 and 8, and in between that, the Tower, which adds up to a 7. So there is a sequence of events that's happening for you, if it hasn't happened already, where it's like, how long are you going to stay in this cycle, right? Because it's going to repeat. If you just keep going and going, you just keep trying to make it work and you just keep trying to fix it, you're not actually healing or growing or sustaining anything. You're just withering away and turning into this old man stuck in the 8 of Pentacles, constantly doing, constantly working, constantly putting the effort, but shit's going to continue hitting the fan for you. There's always going to be a faulty foundation. And so the shadow energy that's coming up for you with the humor, it's like, where are you not taking personal responsibility and you're just using your environment as a way to deflect from that? It's like, oh, I need to focus on my family. I need to focus on my job. I need to focus on my community, whatever you feel like you need to externally focus on. And you're not also taking care of what's going on inside, because we are in the human experience. There's mind, heart, body, spirit, soul. It's not just the body. It's not just the external resources. So the CPR card that's coming out for you is wash. So getting yourself into water right now is going to really support you. Relax. Right? It's going to, the water is the womb. It's the feminine energy. You really need to get in touch with your feminine energy at this time. The card says wash, take a quick rinse, or indulge in a long soak. And that's really what I'm hearing for you. If you are challenged or resistant to taking baths, okay, you go to a sauna, go to the ocean, go to a river, go to a waterfall, go somewhere where you can get submerged in water as much as is possible and is comfortable for you. Do it with someone you trust and love, or do it alone. Just step away from these responsibilities. It's a nice day out, the sun's shining, the doors open, there's all of this accomplishments. I'm seeing all of these pentacles on the wall. The wall is like completely filled and he's still working, right? Like, he's not even drinking water. That water vessel right there next to him is completely full. It's like just going through the motions of like, I just got to get this done. I just got to get this done. I just got to get this done. And not even realizing that there's a whole life to be experienced, right? And what keeps playing out for you is these, like, you keep working, but it's just not happening. And you're being asked to get to water at this time. You're being asked to connect with the feminine energy by submerging yourself in water, right? Okay, Sagittarius or Capricorn moon signs. Thank you. Capricorn moon signs. That's the reading I have for you. Let me drink some water and then we'll go into Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius. Oh, wow. Okay. Whew. Sagittarius, you have the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and the Two of Alchemies, or Two of Swords. So Queen of Pentacles came out in the collective reading. So this message is also really highlighted for you at this time. And the Queen of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. So a decision about the masculine and feminine energy coming together within self in relation to the physical body, personal resources, sharing the wealth, sharing knowledge, sharing information. I'm feeling a little bit of a personal message here because my moon sign is in Sag, and this is really resonating for me. And this is part of this whole channeling that I'm doing right now, and sharing the knowledge, sharing the information, sharing what I've been working on for the last 4 years with the Atlantean timelines. Queen of Pentacles, something tangible, something to share, something to give. You know, I have it. And King of Pentacles, now it's about giving it. So for anyone with Sagittarius moon signs, it's about making decisions about what you have to offer and then taking action on that, right? Reconciling those two parts. It's not enough to just have something if you're just going to hoard it. There's a redistribution of wealth that needs to happen. And I talked about that in the collective overall energy, how there is a redistribution of wealth and resources that's really being highlighted at this time. And it's not just cash, it's food, it's clothes, it's creativity, it's writing, it's music, it's love, it's affection, it's conversation, it's spending time together, it's spending time in nature. Whatever you consider wealth, these are all ways to continue the cycle of life. And for Sagittarius, decisions are being called upon to be made of what you have and what you have to offer, and taking action on that. So let's see what's coming out for the CPR here. Clearing my energy. Thank you for that. Parallel to myself. A blank card. Is this a joke? So the blank card is saying to me that you've done a lot of the work on yourself. And right now it's really about making a choice for yourself. The blank card is saying that you've done all the inner healing work that you need to do. You know how to process, you know how to analyze, you know how to get from A to B to B to C. So really a blank slate is like the Fool card. It's about choosing. The Two of Swords right here, right? It's like the same energy these two cards are. It's like make a decision already, right? There's these two masculines are standing there talking about something, right? Feminine on the outside, masculine in the center, two masculines having a conversation on the outside, right? So what's in the center? What's trapped? The masculine energy. Why? Because the masculine over here is over here doubting himself. So, I see what's coming through now, right? So this is playing out for the Sagittarius moon signs as doubt, doubting self, doubting personal power, using humor, right? Not really being serious about, I have this to offer. How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I love you? How can I empower you? No, we're just going to sit here and just talk about it. But there's like things to do, right? This guy has a side. There's like all of this hay that needs to be cut. It's like turning really brown and yellow, you know, so how long have they just been standing there? There's a bird that's flying in the sky that's trying to get their attention, and they're just chatting away. And she's over here like, okay, I'm waiting for you, but you know, you're too busy over there having a conversation with something else. So make a choice. right? There's no good or bad choices. It's just a choice. You make a choice, you commit to it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, okay. The feminine energy comes in to nurture and love, and then we begin again. Whew. All right, so let's move forward into 𝐏𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 Now, 𝐏𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 is that 13th sign that I talked about. It is in between Scorpio and Sag. Look at that first card. Wow, okay. This one. And this one. Okay, it had flipped over. I saw that earlier. So for our 𝐏𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿, we have the 5, the Hierophant, that empowered masculine energy that I mentioned for a different moon sign. The number 1, the Magician, coming out again. This is an important reading. I'm seeing it with these cards. Like, wow, I'm blessed and humbled to be channeling this and to be chosen to channel this. And then the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups, emotional fulfillment. Okay, so 5, 1, which is a 6. 6 is the energy of exchange and balance. 5, that masculine energy of authority, of personal power, of confidence, of maturity. 1, the Magician, willing desire into life. The 5 and 1 together are the 6. 6 is the energy of exchange. 6 is the meeting of the empowered divine masculine and the empowered divine feminine, the Merkaba. And the 10 of Cups, right? The happy family, the emotional fulfillment. So those with the 𝐏𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 moon signs are being asked to really acknowledge their personal power at this time by getting in touch with their heart space, getting in touch with what would really make me feel good. Is it working this 9-to-5 job, or would it be living out in the country with this woman that I've been wanting to ask out on a date for 9 years? You know, and when are you going to take action on that? When are you going to follow your heart and take action on your dreams, make a new choice, a new direction for yourself, one that takes you towards that life and fulfillment? Unveil is the card, the CPR card that comes out for you. Unveil says, explore the situation. What is the blessing? Blessing is blessing and lesson. So whatever you're going through right now, where you're, you know, feeling like you're being challenged to grow, ask yourself, okay, what, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, how can I, what do I want happening for me, right? It's that little shift, like instead of why is this happening to me in a very sad, disempowered way, how can I use this for my best good? So ask yourself, what's the blessing? What's the hidden blessing here? And what's the lesson? What is this trying to teach me? If this is happening, it's because there's some kind of dissonance, right? I talked about the dissonance in the beginning of this video intro. So you're being asked to look at this dissonance between, there's a feminine in this card, there's a masculine in this card. You're being asked to look at where the disconnect is happening and not allowing you to fully appreciate or go towards this emotional fulfillment, this life of passion and bliss and joy. All right, let's go into Scorpio. I don't know how long I've been sitting here. This recording thing has no timer. But I can feel my butt getting a little numb. So let's move along into this. This is 11:44, Scorpio. Okay, okay. Wow, okay. So we have 13, the death card. In this deck, it's called the Lord of Shadows. Wow, Scorpio. Shadow energy is really coming up for you right now. 6 of Cups, 6 of Chalices, that emotional give and take, the balanced exchange of emotional energy, the return to innocence. And the 6, okay, this card came out in the collective reading and it's coming out in reverse, right? So we have a 6 followed by a major 6 in reverse, right? So there is a deep death right now. There's a deep inner death that is happening right now where the shadow is coming out and the shadow is looking at this masculine and child walking away, right? And there's a butterfly here. So there's transformation that's happening, walking away. And in the next card, we see there's a young boy and a young girl, right? So it's like the old aspect of you is leading your own innocence and youth to meet the innocence and youth of the feminine energy and wanting you to go towards that. But there is a deep resistance to that. There is a deep resistance to that because this card came out in reverse. So this shadow archetype is playing out as a battle. There's like an internal battle going on of wanting to get away from that old part, and there's like but it's just not happening with ease and grace because there's a deep resistance to it. But recognize that everything that is happening for you, not to you. The CPR card that came out is V for victory. Raise your hands and shout, I am empowered by all. And that's what I was feeling with this. You know, there's a deep death within the subconscious that's happening. It's like a deep acceptance and a realization that the way that you've been going about expressing your emotions or connecting with your passions or allowing yourself to play hasn't been working out, and you're wanting to go towards something new. And it's really hard for you right now to accept those aspects and these changes within yourself. And this victory card is here to say that, no, this is actually a really good thing for you. Whatever is ending, whatever is like wanting to just like not continue playing out, it's a good thing for you. And to lean more into that playfulness, you know, it's yes, you might be an adult in the physical body, yet your heart is eternally youthful. The heart, the energy of love doesn't get old. Bodies get old, but the heart, the emotion, that energy of love, of passion and desire, it stays young forever. It's just a youthful, eternal energy. That's why we all strive for the highest frequency of love, because it is the energy of immortality. We live on in the memories and the loving, joyful memories of the people in our lives, not in our physical possessions or not in our minds, right? The shadow, the Lord of the shadows, is the energy that's in the mind. So you're being asked to look at whatever is closing out for you as something that is a really good thing for you, and to stop resisting it, because where it's taking you is into that place of equality, where you'll be appreciated and seen and loved as an equal within your home and an environment, because you are doing that for yourself first. We attract what we are, not what we want. So in order to get whatever it is that you want, you need to start acting and living and creating your life from that place as if you are already it, as if you already have it. All right, Scorpio moons. Beautiful. Let's move into Libra. Libra moon signs. Okay. I saw that card earlier and it came out, so it's clearly meant for y'all. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm being guided to take this. Wow. Okay. So the card I saw earlier that flew out when I was shuffling is the number 8, major arcana, strength in this deck, the crone, the 7 of cups, the 7 major arcana card, and then the 0, the Fool. So Libra moon signs, this shadow energy is really highlighting your strength and the fact that you daydreaming and not taking action towards this new beginning, that you're being guided. You want to make this choice. You want to move forward into something else. You want to do something different for yourself, whether it's your mind, your heart, your body. You want to change the way you look. You want to change your job. You want to change where you live. Whatever change you want to take action towards, you've been so busy daydreaming about it that it feels like your strength is waning right now, right? This woman in the strength card is very old. She's got like major wrinkles, right? Very, very old woman. So it's like there's a stuckness of, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and think about what I want to do, and I'm gonna daydream, and I'm gonna, maybe play around or take some classes or courses or maybe talk about it, but I'm not really going to take action on it. And I'm just perpetually stuck in between the 0 and the 8, in between courage and new beginnings. It's like you're not acting on either courage or this new beginning to move forward with your life, because the 7 is in between these energies. It's not after the 0. It's not like, yeah, new beginning, let's go. It's like, I'm just over here thinking about it, daydreaming about it, right? This 7 of Cups is a beautiful card of imagination and potential and possibility, and having so much creativity and creative life force, and so many ways to magnetize wealth and opulence and health. But the way it's showing up in this reading, in between the 0 and the 8, it's bringing back that attention to wasted potential. It's like you're just getting old. Like the clock is literally ticking, right? We are all in the human experience. We get 24 hours a day. We get a set lifespan that we can either extend by tapping into joy and doing what makes us happy and blissful, or by just sitting there thinking about what we want to do, but never taking action on it. So let's see what CPR has to say about this. Gratitude. Thank me, thank you, thank all. So what will really, really help you shift out of this energy is to start appreciating how creative you are, is to really start appreciating how much imagination you have, is to really start appreciating how much energy you might have. You might have been raised up in a way that conditioned you to believe that you have to act a certain way. You can only choose one thing. You can only do one thing, or you're not going to be a success. You're going to be a jack of all trades and master of none. Maybe you were told something like that, or maybe you haven't been encouraged and validated externally for all of these awesome things that you want to do, that you feel in your heart, if you put your mind to it, you can get it done. Right? But instead, you have allowed other people's opinions and other people's expectations and society and whatever you might have experienced in your life, whatever disappointment and heartache didn't work out for you. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to let it, keep me in this eternal loop while my life withers away. And I'm just standing here with all of my courage, instead of going towards this brand new beginning that I know I had all of the resources and all of the people and all of the skills. I have everything I need to move into that, but it's scary. You don't know if it's going to work out, right? Starting something new is terrifying, because change is not comfortable. If it was comfortable, everybody would be doing it, lining up, sign me up, it's awesome, let's go. I know exactly what to expect. That's not reality. The reality is that we take a risk. And as we get older, it's more scary to take those risks, because, there's more responsibility. So there's like deep clarity that's coming through of like, okay, let's come back into gratitude for what is rather than what isn't. because then that will really help you create more of what is that you like, right? It comes back to that point I made in a different reading about manifestation. We attract what we are, not what we want. So if you want more joy in your life, create more joy in your life. If you want to have dinner parties, create dinner parties. If you want to have, a little side business in addition to your job, have that. Why not do all the things, 24 hours a day? How do you divide your time? You have that courage and the strength and the wisdom within you. Okay, Libra moons. All right, so let's go into Virgo moon signs. Virgo moon signs. Okay. Okay, so Virgo moon signs, we have 8 of Pentacles, Pentacles coming up again, Queen of Cups, and Knight of Swords. So for you, Virgo moons, I'm seeing that your emotional body is stuck in between responsibility and a constant go, 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 go. And this is also the shadow of the Virgo moons. The Virgo moons have the shadow of being such perfectionists that they're never satisfied, right? That's the shadow of the Virgo moon, because the empowered Virgos is about beauty and refinement. But in the shadow, this refinement can turn into obsession. So it's like you're obsessed with just doing whatever it is that you're doing. You're constantly in the mind. You go from mind to body. But in between is this big heart that wants to express itself, just sitting there patiently. And there's 2 masculine energies on the outside of this feminine, one young, immature energy and one old, withering away energy. And she's sitting there like, I'm just sitting here, because the feminine energy is about receiving. It's not about doing and taking action. So the masculine energy has to come in and lead, open a channel for the feminine energy. You have to make a conscious choice to express your emotions, or they're just going to sit there, or they're going to eventually come out in an accident, or if something catastrophic happens, the water, the energy is going to build. And then when it builds and fills up, it's going to spill over, but it's not going to move on its own. It stagnates. So there's a stagnancy I'm seeing here for Virgo moons, where the emotions are stuck between like thinking and doing, and not actually allowing feeling, not making room to connect with the emotional body. So let's look at the CPR cards. Yeah. The card that came out is breathe. So breathe says inhale, exhale, repeat. So Virgo moon signs, what will really support you in navigating the shadow and clearing it out is initiating or getting serious about your daily meditation, sitting and just observing your breath. Literally just sit and breathe, bring more attention to the breath, because when you're just constantly going, you're not really breathing, you're just on autopilot. I mean, you're breathing because you literally will die if you're not getting oxygen in you, but when you're conscious of it, it really pulls you into deeper presence. Let's practice this right now. Take a big deep breath for me. And on this next inhale, notice how the breath moves. Notice where it gets stuck. Notice where your body's tight. And just continue bringing more attention to that. You don't have to make like, oh, I have to do breathing for an hour every day. No, you don't have to do that. You can just take like, set a timer for 60 seconds. Hell, set a timer for 30 seconds, or just do it throughout your day as you're going through life. Bring more attention to your breath instead of just jumping from one task to the next. Take a moment to appreciate what you completed. Wow, I just finished making my dinner. I'm going to take a big deep breath before I just start eating it. Or wow, I just, took a long hot shower, I'm going to take a moment to just sit and oil my body and massage myself before I run out and, you know, join my friends at the mall. Or wow, I just got home, you know, I just finished a really awesome meeting with my boss at work. I'm going to take a moment and appreciate what a great job I have and what a understanding boss I have. Or, you know, my partner just, you know, swept the floors, and I'm going to take a moment and appreciate that I live with someone who cares about the house and does something nice for me or the house or whatever. You know, just taking a moment to breathe will bring a lot more presence into your life, and then you'll start seeing how much love and beauty there already is within your environment for you to start pouring your love and attention into. And it's not just sitting there waiting, it's waiting for you. Your emotional happiness is waiting for you. And all it takes is a single breath to choose a new direction. All right. Okay, so let's go into Leo moon signs. Leo moon signs. Okay, wow. Okay, so Leo moon signs, we have 4 of Cups, the number 12, a major arcana card, and the 4 of Wands. I'm pretty sure that every single sign so far has had a major arcana card in their reading. So we see number 12, the higher perspective, the hangman, seeing the bigger picture, right? Not just being over here myopically so focused on the task around you that you don't notice the house is falling down. 12 is about the eagle's eye, you know, seeing things from a different perspective, seeing things from someone else's perspective, seeing, you know, the consequences of choices. We can't see the future, but we can put our critical thinking into use and think about, okay, if I choose X, Y, and Z, what could potentially happen? Am I okay with these risks? Rather than I'm just going to do it. So that's what I'm saying. The 12, the higher perspective, is stuck in between 2 fours, the 4 of Cups, the 4 of Wands. Now, the 4 of Cups is an energy of emotional dissatisfaction or rest. In this case, it's showing that there's just such a hyper focus on what's not working that you're not noticing that there's a friend who's come over to have tea or wine or whatever with you, right? And on the other side, there's a couple, right, where he's pouring wine into her. But this is the very first card that came out, right? So there's like a very wounded feminine within you, right? There's a very wounded feminine energy within you, Leo moon signs, that wants to be acknowledged, right? And once you acknowledge that and see the bigger picture, see that there's a very deep wound, then you're going to be able to get up from that table of discontentment, okay, acknowledge it, and then let's choose a new direction, you know, see the bigger picture. Okay, instead of just focusing on what's not working, okay, it's not working, you know, this isn't making me happy, this isn't working out for me, so where can I put my attention and see where there is love, there is happiness waiting for me? The card that came out for you is yawn, right? So yawn is just open your mouth. Who cares if it looks silly? Just trust, do it. This came up for another sign. I don't remember which one. So yawn, like just get that energy out there. You're just sitting there, you know, this card, this woman is just sitting there like this, just like so sad, just like staring off into space, just oblivious. Okay, that's the word that's coming to mind. Completely oblivious to reality. You know, it's like, okay, something bad happened and you got hurt. Now it's time to open and start getting that energy out. Like, get up, get your hand out of your face, you know, get your own mind away from whatever you feel so wounded and hurt about, and just start releasing that energy. You know, get out of the house, go to nature, you know, go talk to a friend, go see a counselor, whatever it is you need to do to get out of your own head and stop feeling so depressed and sad. Because what's waiting for you is, look at that, look at the difference. Okay, sad, depressed. Wow, look at this hottie pouring me some wine that he probably crushed with his own feet, and we got all them apples so we can, you know, dip them in caramel or chocolate or make a pie or whatever. You know, there's so many apples, you could probably make all the things. And 4 is the number of structure and stability, but 4 is also a box. So get out of the box that you've put yourself in to get into structure and stability that you actually want to be in. All right, so let's go into Cancer. Cancer moon signs, please. So, Cancer. Okay. Okay. So first sign, I think, that doesn't have major cards. We have the 4 of Wands, the 4 of Pentacles, and the 7 of Wands. I'm being guided to get one more card. Okay, so that brings 4. And the 4 of Cups. Wow, Cancer. 3 4s showed up for you and a 7. The only 4 that isn't here is the 4 of Swords, which tells me that you've been sleeping on a lot of your responsibility. So the absence of the 4 here is actually speaking to me and telling me that you've been avoiding your responsibility to your home, your responsibility to your intuition, and your responsibility to your emotions. You're just kind of napping and playing around. And 7 of Wands in the middle of this, it's like you're just collecting information is what I'm getting. You're just sitting there, 4 of Pentacles and 7 of Wands in the center of 4 of Wands and 4 of Cups. It's like you're just sitting there in between, feeling sad for yourself and just kind of being in your home, being in your environment, being in your structure and your rigidity and your moon, I just said moon, you know, being in your feelings. Yeah, being in your feelings. You're just sitting there in between being in your feelings and your home, like in this box of your sad, depressed feelings, just like sitting there collecting information, collecting resources, not really putting yourself out there. And it's you know, we have 7 of Wands and the 4 of Wands here, and in between them is the 4 of Pentacles. So it's like you're really being asked to look at where you're just so discontent with life, but you think that you're involved in it because you're getting all this information. Look at that. The card I just got pulled out for you is connect. And I think I just said the word disconnect as I was saying that. Connect says 2 hands on heart center. I am in my body. So yeah, you're being asked to like get in touch with your body right now, to really just start moving, you know, go for a walk, get out of your house. You know, I'm pretty sure I said that. It's like you're just stuck in your house and in your mind about whatever it is that happened in the past with whoever, with whatever, you know, whatever losses and experiences you've gone through that, you know, didn't turn out like you wanted them. And you've just kind of locked yourself in this house collecting information, and there's birds out there calling you to play, but you're like, nope, I'm just going to be in here. And, you know, I'm noticing that this woman's dress is like stitched and torn up. So it's like you're just kind of, again, that word keeps coming up. You're just kind of wasting your life away by just sitting there and not allowing yourself to be connected with yourself. It's because you're not in touch with your body right now. You're too much here. You're too much here. You're not really in the body. And so start to initiate this practice every morning when you wake up. Take a big deep breath, hands on heart, and say, I am in my body. I am in my body. It is safe to be in my body. All of my feelings are valid, and they probably just don't serve a purpose anymore. Allow that fruit, our emotions, our experiences are like fruit. Once they ripen, they start to rot. So whatever has ripened within you is like rotting for you, because we started with all of these apples, all of this love and wealth and structure and stability and security. But now it's just like depression and sadness and discontentment and, not really paying attention to the transformation. There's a dragonfly in this card, not paying attention to a whole new world, a friend, a new beginning that's out there outside of you, calling for your attention, right? And the way we can notice the external world is if we are connected and paying attention to the external, to the internal world. All right, Cancer. All right, so let's look at Gemini moon signs. Let's try that again. Gemini moon signs. Okay, wow, 3 major cards. So fascinating. I could talk for hours about these cards. There's so much information, but I'm feeling my energy waning. So the first card we get is the number 9, which came out in the collective reading. This time it comes out in reverse, so extremely highlighted for you at this time. The second card is the number 12, the perspective, the higher mind, and the final card is the sun. And I talked about the sun rising in the collective reading. So the number 9 and the number 19 in between the number 12. Like I said, I could talk about this for hours, so help me summarize. Okay. So for you, Gemini moon signs, what I'm seeing is that you are refusing to listen to that inner voice that's telling you that it's time to play. It's time to come out. You've been doing deep reflection. You've been doing deep work within yourself. You've been doing a lot of inner reflection, right? The Hanged Man, higher perspective, is about seeing the bigger picture, yes. And it's also about seeing the bigger picture within self, right? Because when we're able to see ourselves, we're able to see the world with a bigger lens. And so you've been in there for a while, and now you're being asked to shift out into the light, like get out of the darkness and come out into the light. But it's like you're resisting it. You've been there for so long that you're like comfortable with it. You're like, nah, I'm good here. I mean, you're clearly not happy, because I don't know, if I was hanging upside down for a really long time. I mean, Odin did it for 12 days or something, and then he received the Ogham. I can't remember the number right now. Wow. Forgive me. But eventually the body is going to need mobility, or it's just going to start to atrophy. You need to move around, you need to get out, you need to eat and shower and take a piss, you need to take care of your body, and you're being asked to like get out into the light right now. Like you've been doing this for a while, like it's time for something new. Yeah, see, victory comes out for you. I am empowered by all. You've done your reflection. You've done your understanding. You know what's going on for you. You know what you need to do. And it's like, you're just choosing to not, right? You might be scared. You might, oh, this is coming through. You might be under this perception that there's more. You're like, I think there's more. I think there's more. And this message is here to say, like, there's nothing more that you can glean from whatever it is you've been processing for a while. It's time to realize that you have been empowered by this and you can move forward and step back into the light. You know, 19 is the sun. It comes after the moon, after the 18. So you're already done the feelings, you've done the thinking, you've done the processing, and it's time to raise your hands in the air and shout, I am empowered by all. Woohoo. And just, you know, realize like, wow, okay, I'm connected to life. There's the infinity symbol that I'm really drawn to over here. So it's like, see that you're infinitely and eternally connected to life and all of its cycles. And there's a time to step back and rest. And there's a time to step forward and play and do and participate in life, right? And you're being asked right now to participate in your life and see that you have reached a completion point with what you're at, because we go from the 9 to the 19 and there's a 10 there, right? So there's that invisible 10 that you're not allowing yourself to see, that was going to quantum leap you into a completely new chapter. If you just allow yourself to see that, it's like you've been so busy seeing and looking that you're not seeing anymore. It's like that saying that comes to mind is you can't see the forest for the trees. It's like you've been in the jungle for so long, you've forgotten that you're in the jungle and that the jungle eventually ends. The night ends and the sun rises, and the sun is rising right now, calling to you. All right, so let's look at Taurus, and then we have one more. All right, so Taurus, moon signs, please. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I'm being asked to take all of them. All the cards want to come out. So we get 2 of Wands, Page of Pentacles, which came out in the collective reading. Here it is reversed. So extra attention to this. The 0, the Fool, right in the center of your reading. 5 of Pentacles, and the Magician, the Witch again. So this 0 for you, Taurus moons, the 0 is that new beginning. It is in the center of this immaturity and this clinging to loss is what I'm seeing, right? There's a completely new beginning right in the center of your consciousness right now. You know that you, 2 of Wands at the beginning, you want to make, you're being asked to make choices and decisions right now. I don't have enough physical hands for all of these cards. So it's like 2 of Wands, right? There's some kind of decision that needs to be made. In this card, we see a feminine energy. The card that was next to it was a masculine energy, a young boy, and then the 0, right? So it's like this woman right here, it's like, hi, she's like trying to get someone's attention or waving goodbye or something, but there's an absence of a masculine. The masculine is in the next card, upside down, completely oblivious, just playing around, playing the fool, not paying attention to this new beginning that's wanting to come out. And then even though, you know, it appears that he's having a good time, he actually feels this way. He feels, look at this card, just look at this card and see the energy that's coming through. It's like, you're not by the fire, you're not paying attention to, you know, the money that's right above you that will probably get you some better, warmer clothes and a meal, because this person doesn't, you know, that they're looking at their bag like, oh, it's empty, I don't really have anything. But that's like furthest from the truth, right? There's like money hanging on above you. And so the last card is the 1. It's like, look up, all right? Like, stop being so focused on whatever it is that you're doing right now that you think is so important, when you already know that it's not making you happy. You're like doing this thing, and then you're going to bed all sad about it and bitter about it, but then you wake up and you do the same thing, and you're just like going through life not really paying attention to your life. You're just kind of in this eternal loop. So let's see what this, yeah, connect. Okay, Taurus moon signs, you also get the connect card. You need to get back in touch with your body. It's interesting because we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the 0, and the 5 of Pentacles, and these are both, Pentacles is about the physical body, but like your attention right now is on the money. Your attention right now is on your home, your environment, what you need to do. And the Taurus energy is a very sensual sign. It's very much about material comforts, but it's gotten to the point where your physical body is starting to deteriorate, and you may not even be aware of it because you've gotten stuck in this mental spiral of like, I don't have enough, I need to keep going. I don't have enough, I don't keep going. When the truth is you have more than enough, right? You have more than enough. You need 4 to create firm structure, and you have 5. So you're being asked to connect to your body. You're being asked to put 2 hands on your heart and just start that practice of, oh, I am in my body. What does my body need right now? Oh, I need to take a shower. I need to eat something. I need to stretch my legs. I need to go for a walk into nature. I need to call my friend. I need to say hi to my partner. I need to take my dog for a walk or clean out the litter box, you know, whatever it is you need to do. But like, get back into your body right now, because this is really going to help you shift out of this mental prison that you're in, that the only way to get to your happiness is by working, but it's not. It's killing you to the ground. Wow. All right. Well, last and certainly not least, let's go into Aries. Look at that. I speak and it comes out. Okay. So we have 10 of Swords, 5 of Cups, and 3 of Wands. So we start the reading with the 10 of Swords. So the 10 of Swords is about mental clarity and taking action to put something to rest. 5 of Cups is about hope, and 3 of Wands is about collaboration. So what's really coming up for you right now is a deep realization of where you have allowed your mind to not allow you to expand. And this understanding of your mind of, oh, it's my own thoughts that have not allowed me to grow. It's bringing back, it's restoring hope for you. And the card that came out for you is J, jingle. Hum a tune or sing along to your favorite song. So that's the guidance that's coming for you right now is, you know what, as you're ending this mental loop cycle that you've been in for months, years, decades, whatever, however long you've been in, whatever decisions you have made to cut something out for good, especially in the mind, because the 10 of Swords is the mind energy, and everything honestly begins there, right? Once we think it, and then we start feeling it, and then it comes into form, and then it's reality, and then the only way to destroy it is by thinking about it, and then feeling about it, and then taking action to cut it out. So as you're going through these changes and your hope is coming back and you're starting to see the possibilities again, you're like, wow, okay, I'm ready for a new adventure. I'm ready for potential. I'm ready to like go out into the world, you know, sing. Just start humming, put on some music, you know, shake your booty, whatever it is that you want to do. It's just allow yourself to go into this new stage of your life with joy and gratitude, right? It doesn't have to be difficult. Change doesn't have to be a painful process. It can also be a joyous one. All right. So that is all tarot has to say at this time. Let us close today's circle with a little bit of sage and a wave of Reiki healing to just support you with clearing anything that may have been released through this reading. Closing this circle now. Thank you to the spirit team who has been here supporting us and witnessing us. Thank you to my primary guide, Archangel Metatron, for blessing me to be this channel, to bring these messages of love, healing, and empowerment for the collective today. Thank you to you for being here today, for being with me throughout this reading. If you have been here with me through the end, thank you so much. Closing and releasing all now with love and humble gratitude. Thank you again for joining me. I am Drazni, and until we meet again, blessed be.